Lokoz Boxing, and the first undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's talk about the fight that just happened, Canelo versus Plant. Now there's a couple of things that we'll have to talk about as far as what happened. I'll start with, to all the haters, I told you so. Alright, so we'll start off by recognizing the fact that Caleb Plant did a way better job than I expected. Don't get me wrong, I knew that this fight wasn't going to be a very easy fight in the beginning, at least in the first rounds. But I really did expect Caleb Plant to run all over the place and to try to avoid Canelo's fight, to try to win by points. It really took me off guard when Caleb Plant started trying to go against Canelo and exchange one punch after the other. With all that being said, he can hang. He was able to hang throughout most of the fight. So respect is given where respect is due. He was able to hang for most of the fight. His hand speed, as usual, was on point. His jab was all over the place. A very effective jab, very effective hand speed, crazy footwork. So he put up a better fight than I really expected him to do. At least a more entertaining fight, I must say. I knew that he was going to pose some challenges to Canelo during the first half of the fight. As I mentioned in the previous video, what I had got wrong is that I really just thought that Plant was just going to be running all over the place. Turns out he decided he wanted to use the element of surprise and just go up against Canelo, which was probably not the best idea. It was kind of interesting because Caleb Plant wasn't looking too bad in the first couple of rounds. But sure enough, as I had previously mentioned in the video of me trying to predict what was going to happen, his batteries ran out. And if I must be fair, they didn't run out on their own entirely. Canelo kept connecting Caleb Plant hits to the liver. Canelo was just making those capital investments to the liver. One hit after the other, one hit after the other. At some points, it even looked like Caleb Plant was getting a lot of hits on Canelo. Canelo does this frequently in a lot of his fights during the first 4 or 5 rounds. He kind of tones down his skills. He lets some of the hits get through to give that confidence to the fighter that he's making progress, that he's doing good. But he uses that to his advantage, so he's able to get those hits to the liver. Left hook, right hook, and that's exactly what we saw. It's very interesting how all of these fighters, they think they have Canelo figured out. They think they're going to be different. I mean, think about it. Billy Joe Saunders was also a slick fighter with decent footwork, good hand speed. But somehow or the other, Canelo made him feel confident enough in the ring to go up against them and exchange punches. You'd think Caleb Plant would have learned from that, and I'm sure Caleb Plant was expecting not to fall for the same trick. Yeah, he did. He got confident during the first rounds. Canelo kind of toned it down, let him get a few hits, and I'll give him credit. Canelo did begin to get a little frustrated a little bit past the mid-rounds. When he went back to his corner, Eddie Reynoso told him to just keep persisting with the knockout, to just keep going for the liver shots, just to stick to the game plan. And sure enough, on the 11th round, Caleb Plant fell, got right back up, but you can tell he didn't get up in a good state. Canelo smelt the blood and he went and finished him. I mean, think about it. Caleb Plant was really good with his jabs during the first half of the fight. But for all those jabs that Caleb Plant would land, Canelo was landing a bunch of hooks to the liver, which is more effective. It was just a matter of time before Caleb Plant was going to fall. Taking that many hits to the liver is almost a guarantee for a knockdown. With all that being said, what happened to all that shit he talked? What happened to all those speeches that he would give? All of these fighters that come in loud, trying to intimidate by just talking shit. Yeah, sure, he apologized to Canelo at the end of the fight for the shit he had talked. But he didn't even want to give an interview. He just stormed out of there. I don't know, it's my opinion that it's very distasteful when a fighter loses and he just storms out of there without giving an interview. It happens quite often when the fighters talk a lot of shit and they couldn't back it up during the ring. Happened with Billy Joe Saunders. He took forever to give some type of statement as far as an interview. Plant hasn't spoken a word about his defeat. With all that said, the hype was worth it. I think the fight was amazing. I think it was a very exciting fight. There was a lot of action. It was not a boring fight. It was kind of funny because towards the later rounds, Canelo was becoming frustrated. He already had won the fight. He had most of the rounds. If the fight would have gone the distance, he would have won, clearly. Caleb Plant only had about three rounds won. But the frustration on Canelo's end was because he was trying to knock down Caleb Plant. He wasn't comfortable just winning alone. He was pushing for that knockdown. Lokoz Boxing. Let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe.